Courage starts with a step.
Fear is not a stop sign. A guide to action. If you're scared, it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you've reached the edge of your old life. Fear doesn't appear out of nowhere. It shows up only where there's growth. The problem isn't the fear. The problem is you were taught to wait until it disappears. It won't disappear, but you can walk with it, and that's what no one ever taught you. Introduction. Why fear is not the enemy. Fear is an indicator, not an obstacle. You've been treating fear like an enemy, something to avoid, something to overcome, something that shouldn't be there. But what if fear isn't the problem? What if fear is information? A signal that you're standing at the threshold of something important. Think about it. When do you feel fear? Not when you're doing the same things you've always done, not when you're staying in your comfort zone. You feel fear when you're about to step beyond what you know, when you're about to try something new, risk something real, become someone different. That's when fear shows up. Not to stop you, but to mark the boundary between who you've been and who you're becoming. And most people see that boundary and turn back. Because they've been taught that fear means don't go there, it's dangerous, you're not ready. But that's a lie. Fear doesn't mean any of those things. Fear means this matters, this is important, this could change everything. And that's why you feel it, not because you should stop, but because you're finally moving toward something that matters. So this book isn't about eliminating fear, it's about learning to move with it, to recognize it for what it is, to stop letting it make your decisions, because fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to be in charge. You do, and the moment you understand that, everything changes. Chapter 1. Why you feel fear right now. Fear doesn't come when you're weak, it comes when you're ready. You think fear showing up means something's wrong, that you're not ready, that you should wait, that maybe this isn't the right time. But that's backwards. Fear showing up means you're exactly where you need to be, at the edge of your next level, and your system knows it. 1. Why calmness is deceptive. Calmness feels safe. When you're calm, you think this is good, everything's under control. But calmness often means you're not growing. You're staying where it's comfortable, where it's familiar, where nothing's at risk. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you need calm. But if you're always calm, if you never feel that edge of fear, you're not expanding, you're maintaining. And maintenance isn't growth. Growth feels uncomfortable. It feels uncertain. It feels scary. Because you're entering territory you've never been in before. So if you feel fear right now, don't see it as a problem. See it as confirmation that you're finally moving beyond the safe zone. And that's where everything you want is waiting. 1. The moment before expansion. There's a specific moment right before you expand when fear peaks. It's the moment right before you make the call, you send the message, you take the leap. In that moment, your brain floods you with every reason not to do it. What if it doesn't work? What if you fail? What if people judge you? And it feels like wisdom, like your intuition saying stop. This is wrong, but it's not. It's your survival brain doing its job. Its job is to keep you the same. Because same equals safe, but safe doesn't equal alive, and you didn't come this far to stay the same. You came this far to expand, and expansion always feels like standing on the edge of something you're not sure you can handle. But you can. You always could. You just needed to recognize that the fear you're feeling isn't a warning. It's a signal that you're ready to become more. 3. The false idea, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. That's what fear convinces you to believe. And it sounds reasonable. I need more time. I need more preparation. I need more confidence. But here's the truth, you'll never feel 100 ready, not for anything that scares you this much. Because ready is a feeling, and feelings don't lead, they follow. You don't feel ready and then act. You act and then feel ready. That's the order, but most people wait for the feeling to come first. And while they wait, months turn into years. Years turn into regret, and the thing they wanted stays a dream they never pursued, because they were waiting to feel ready. But ready isn't something you feel, it's something you decide. You decide, I'm doing this, whether I feel ready or not. And then you do it, and after you realize you were ready all along, you just didn't trust it. Because fear was louder than your capability, but your capability was always there. You just needed to act to prove it to yourself. Chapter 2. What fear does to your body and mind. Your body isn't sabotaging you, it's preparing you for action. When fear hits, your body reacts. Your heart races, your hands shake, your breath shortens, and you think something's wrong. I need to calm down, I need to stop this, but nothing's wrong. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do. 2. 1. The physiology of fear in simple terms. Fear triggers your sympathetic nervous system. That's the system responsible for fight or flight. When your brain perceives a threat, real or imagined, it sends a signal to your adrenal glands. They release adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones flood your body. Your heart rate increases to pump blood to your muscles. Your breathing quickens to get more oxygen. Your pupils dilate to see better. Your muscles tense to react faster. Your digestion slows because it's not a priority right now. All of this happens automatically. You can't control it, and it all happens to prepare you not to run away, but to act, to face what's in front of you. The problem is, in modern life, most threats aren't physical, they're psychological. A presentation, a conversation, a decision, but your body doesn't know the difference. It just knows threat detected. And it prepares you the same way it would prepare you to fight or flee. So when you feel your heart racing, don't think, I need to stop this. Think, my body is ready. Let's use this energy. 2. Why you shake, freeze, or tighten. When fear hits, your body responds in one of three ways: fight, tension, clench fists. Tight jaw, your body preparing to push back; flight, restlessness. The urge to move, the impulse to leave, your body preparing to escape. Freeze, stillness, numbness, disconnection. Your body deciding that the safest option is to not move at all. All three are survival responses. None of them are wrong, but all of them can feel overwhelming. Especially if you don't understand what's happening. So when you shake, it's not weakness, it's adrenaline preparing your muscles to act. When you freeze, it's not failure, it's your system trying to assess the situation. When you tighten, it's not panic, it's your body bracing for impact. All of it is biological, automatic, protective, and the more you understand that, the less you'll fear your own fear. 2. 3. How to stop being scared of your own reactions. The fear of fear is often worse than the fear itself. You feel your heart race, and you panic about the panic. Why is this happening? I should be able to control this. What if I can't handle it? And that secondary fear amplifies everything. But here's how to break that cycle. Step 1. Recognize what's happening. My heart is racing. That's adrenaline. My body is preparing me. Step 2. Don't fight it. The more you resist the sensation, the stronger it becomes. So instead, allow it. Okay, this is happening. I can handle this. Step 3. Breathe slowly, not to stop the fear, but to signal to your nervous system, I'm okay. I'm safe. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Breathe out for 6. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body. Step 4. Name it. This is fear, not danger. Fear. Naming the emotion reduces its intensity, because it moves it from the emotional brain to the logical brain, and the logical brain can handle it. Once you understand that your body's reactions aren't something to fear, but something to work with, everything shifts. You stop fighting yourself and start using the energy that fear provides. Chapter 3. The mistake of waiting for confidence. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes second. You're waiting for confidence before you act. You think, once I feel confident, I'll do it. But that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. 3. Why waiting for readiness is a trap. Readiness feels like a requirement. I'll do it when I'm ready. Sounds reasonable, sounds smart, sounds responsible. But it's a trap, because readiness is a moving target. You think, once I know more, I'll be ready. So you learn more, and then your brain says, actually, you need to know even more. You think, once I have more experience, I'll be ready, so you gain experience. And then your brain says, actually, you need a different kind of experience. You think, once I feel more confident, I'll be ready, so you wait for confidence. But confidence never comes, because confidence comes from acting, not from waiting. So you keep waiting for a feeling that will never arrive as long as you're waiting, and that's the trap. Readiness isn't a prerequisite for action. Action creates readiness. So stop waiting to feel ready and start acting your way into readiness. 3. How people get stuck at the start. The start is the hardest part, not because the first step is the biggest, but because the first step is where uncertainty is highest. You don't know how it will go. You don't know if you can do it. You don't know what will happen, and that uncertainty creates paralysis. So people get stuck in preparation mode. Always learning, always planning, always getting ready. But never actually starting, because starting means facing the unknown. And the unknown feels dangerous, so they stay in the preparation phase where it's safe, where they're in control, where failure isn't possible yet because they haven't actually tried. But preparation without execution is just procrastination disguised as productivity. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to start. Because now you've invested so much time in preparing that the pressure to be perfect when you finally start becomes crushing. So if you're stuck at the start, stop preparing and just start imperfectly, uncertainly. Scared, start anyway, because the only way to get unstuck is to move. 3. The only order of actions. Here's the order that actually works. 1. Decide. Not when you're ready, not when you're confident. Now, decide you're doing this. 2. Act. Take one small step, not the perfect step, just the next one. 3. Learn. See what happens, adjust, improve. 4. Repeat. Act again, learn again, adjust again. That's it. That's the only order that works, not wait for confidence, wait for readiness, wait for the perfect plan. Maybe act someday. But decide, act, learn, repeat. Confidence comes somewhere around step 10 of repeating, not before. So stop waiting for confidence to show up and start building it through action. Because confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. Chapter 4. Fear and Action. How to move, not fight. You don't fight fear, you take it with you. You've been trying to overcome fear, to conquer it, to beat it, to make it go away. But that's the wrong approach, because fighting fear makes it stronger. What you resist persists. So stop fighting and start walking with it. 4. Why resistance amplifies fear. When you resist fear, you create tension, and tension amplifies the sensation. Think about it like this: you feel fear, your body tenses, your mind races, your breath shortens. And then you resist it. I shouldn't feel this way. I need to calm down. This needs to stop. But that resistance creates more tension. More tension creates more fear, and now you're in a loop. Fear resistance, more resistance, and the more you fight it, the worse it gets. But what if you didn't resist? What if you just let it be there? Okay. I'm scared. That's fine. I can be scared and still move. And suddenly the loop breaks. Because you're not adding resistance to the fear, you're just acknowledging it and moving anyway. And now that changes everything. 4. The principle of parallel movement. Here's the principle: fear and action can exist at the same time. You don't have to eliminate fear before you act. You can feel fear and act simultaneously. This is parallel movement. Fear moves through you, and you move forward at the same time. Not one and the other, together. So when fear shows up, don't stop to deal with it. Don't stop to calm yourself. Don't stop to figure it out. Just acknowledge it. I'm scared, and then move, and I'm doing this anyway. Feel the fear in your body and take the step at the same time. That's parallel movement. And it's the only way to move forward without waiting for fear to disappear. Because fear won't disappear, but you can still move. 4. How to take steps without breaking yourself. You don't have to push through fear like a battering ram. You don't have to force yourself to ignore it. You can move gently, with awareness, with compassion. Here's how. Step 1. Acknowledge the fear. I'm scared. That's okay. Step 2. Choose one small action. Not the whole thing, just one piece. Step 3. Take vacation. Watch the fear. Don't wait for it to go away. Just move while it's there. Step 4. Breathe. As you move, breathe slowly, intentionally. Step 5. Notice you're still okay. After the action, notice you survived. You're okay. The fear didn't destroy you. Step 6. Repeat. Take the next small action, and the next. This isn't about being brave. It's about being willing to move with discomfort. And every time you do that, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't have to stop you. And that proof builds over time until moving with fear becomes natural. Chapter 5. The minimal step that breaks the stop. Big decisions scare you. Small ones start movement. You think you need to make a big move, a bold decision, a massive leap. But big moves are paralyzing. What you actually need is the smallest possible step. So small, it barely counts, but it does count, because small steps break the freeze. 5. 1. The rule of the first myocation. The first myocation is simple. What's the tiniest thing you can do right now that moves you 1 millimeter forward? Not a mile, a millimeter. If you're scared to make a call, don't think about the entire conversation. Just think about picking up the phone. That's it. If you're overwhelmed by a project, don't think about finishing it. Just think about opening the document. If you're terrified to start, don't think about the whole journey. Just think about putting on your shoes, because myocations slip under the fear radar. They're so small, your brain doesn't perceive them as a threat. So it doesn't activate the fear response. And once you start moving, even in the tiniest way, momentum builds. And momentum is stronger than fear. 5. 2. How to return the feeling of control. Fear makes you feel powerless, like life is happening to you. Like you're a victim of circumstances, but small actions return control. Because every small action is a choice to move forward, a choice that says I'm not powerless. I'm an agent in my own life, and that shift from victim to agent changes everything. Because victims wait for things to change, agents make things change. And the moment you take one small action, you remember you're an agent, not a victim. And that memory, that reclamation of control, is what breaks the paralysis. Because you realize you don't have to wait for fear to leave. You don't have to wait for circumstances to improve. You can act right now in the smallest way, and that action, however tiny, is proof that you're in control. 5. 3. Why small doesn't mean weak. Small actions aren't weak, they're strategic, because small actions are sustainable. You can do them every day, even on bad days. Even when you're scared, even when you're tired, big actions require massive energy. Perfect conditions, peak motivation, and when you don't have those, you don't act. But small actions require almost nothing. And because they require almost nothing, you can do them always. And consistency beats intensity every single time. One small action every day for a year will take you further than 10 big actions once. So don't dismiss the small step because it feels insignificant. It's not. It's the foundation of everything. Chapter 6. What to do when fear returns again. If fear came back, you are moving in the right direction again. You took action. You moved forward. You felt better. And then fear came back. And you think, I failed. I'm back where I started. Nothing changed. But that's not true. Fear coming back doesn't mean you went backwards. It means you're at a new level. 6. Why fear is cyclical. Fear isn't linear. It doesn't go away, never returns. It goes away, returns, goes away, returns. In cycles, because growth is cyclical. Every time you reach a new level, you face a new fear, different fear. Same sensation. So if fear came back, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing again. You're facing a new edge, a new expansion, and your system is responding the same way it always does when you're about to grow. With fear, so when fear returns, don't see it as regression. See it as progression. You're not back where you started. You're at a higher level, facing a higher level fear. And that is proof you're still moving forward. 6. How not to roll back. The risk when fear returns is rolling back, going back to old patterns. Old comforts, old escapes, the things that made you feel safe before but kept you stuck. So how do you not roll back? Step 1. Recognize the pattern. Fear is back. That's normal. That means I'm growing again. Step 2. Don't make big decisions when scared. When fear is high, your judgment is clouded, so don't decide to quit in that moment. Wait. Step 3. Take one small forward action. Even if you're scared, even if you want to quit, take one tiny step forward, that's all. Step 4. Remember your evidence. You've done hard things before, you felt this fear before, and you survived. Remind yourself of that, because evidence defeats fear. 6. New level instead of old circle. When fear returns, you have a choice. Go back to the old circle. The old patterns, the old comfort zone, or step into the new level. The old circle feels safe because it's familiar, but it's also where you were before. And you didn't come this far to go back to that. The new level feels scary because it's unknown. But it's also where growth is, where expansion is, where the life you actually want is waiting. So when fear returns and you feel the pull to go back, ask yourself, do I want the old circle or the new level? And then choose the new level, even if it's terrifying, because the old circle will always be there. But the new level won't wait forever. Chapter 7. How to stop treating fear as a danger signal. Not everything that's scary is dangerous, and not everything that's calm is safe. You've been trained to interpret fear as danger. If I feel scared, something must be wrong. But that's not true. Fear and danger are not the same thing. 7. The interpretation mistake. Your brain doesn't distinguish between physical danger and psychological discomfort. It just knows uncomfortable threat. So when you feel scared about making a phone call, your brain treats it the same way it would treat a physical threat. And it tells you danger, stop, but the phone call isn't dangerous. It's just uncomfortable. And uncomfortable doesn't mean wrong, it means new. So the mistake we make is interpreting every fear signal as a danger signal. But they're not the same. Danger signals say this will harm you. Fear signals say this is unfamiliar. and unfamiliar isn't dangerous. It's just unknown. So when you feel fear, ask, is this actually dangerous? Or is it just uncomfortable? And if it's just uncomfortable, you can move forward. 7. 2. How to distinguish risk from growth. Risk and growth feel similar. Both involve uncertainty. Both involve fear. But they're not the same. Risk asks, what could I lose? Growth asks, what could I become? Risk is about potential loss. Growth is about potential gain, and sometimes the same action involves both. So how do you distinguish? Ask, if this works, what do I gain? And if this doesn't work, what do I lose? And then can I handle that loss? If the answer to the last question is yes, then it's growth. Not recklessness, not danger, growth, because real growth always involves the possibility of failure, but also the resilience to handle it. And if you have that resilience, then fear isn't a stop sign. It's a sign you're expanding. 7. 3. Your internal navigator. You have an internal navigator. It's not the fear, it's beneath the fear. It's the quiet knowing that says, this is right, even though it's scary, or this doesn't feel right, even though it seems logical. That knowing is your navigator, not the fear, not the logic. The knowing, and the more you listen to it, the clearer it becomes. So when you're faced with a decision and fear is loud, pause. Breathe and ask your navigator, is this a yes or a no? And then listen. Not to the fear, not to the logic, to the knowing, and trust it. Because your navigator has been guiding you all along. You just stopped listening because fear was louder. But now you know fear is just noise. And beneath it, your navigator is still there, still guiding, still knowing the way. Chapter 8. Life on the other side of fear. The greatest relief is realizing fear no longer controls you. There comes a moment when you realize fear is still there, but it doesn't control you anymore. You feel it, but you don't obey it. You acknowledge it, but you don't let it make your decisions. And now that's freedom. 8. Want a new sense of yourself. You're not the same person anymore. You look the same, you sound the same. But inside you're different. You carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, with quiet certainty. The certainty that comes from acting despite fear over and over until it became natural. And that certainty changes how you see challenges. Before, you saw them as threats. Now you see them as opportunities. Before, you asked, what if I fail? Now you asked, what if I succeed? Before, fear controlled you. Now you acknowledge it and move anyway. And that shift, that internal shift, is permanent, because once you've proven to yourself that you can act despite fear, you can't unknow that. You can't go back to believing fear means stop, because you know now fear means go. 8. 2. Calmness and movement. Calmness doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means the ability to move while fear is present. Most people think calm means no fear, but that's not true. Calm means I feel fear and I'm okay with that. I don't need it to go away before I act. That's calmness in movement. Not stillness, not peace. Movement with awareness, movement with presence, movement with fear, but not controlled by it. And that calmness, that ability to move regardless of how you feel, is what creates real stability. Not the stability of never being challenged, but the stability of knowing you can handle whatever comes, because you've already moved through fear so many times that it's become familiar. And familiar isn't scary anymore, it's just part of the process. 8. 3. Freedom without expectation. Freedom doesn't mean no fear. Freedom means fear doesn't decide anymore. You do, and that freedom comes without expectation. You don't expect to never feel fear again. You just know when you do, it won't stop you. You don't expect to be perfectly confident. You just know you can act without it. You don't expect life to be easy, you just know you can handle hard. And that knowing, that trust in yourself is the freedom you've been looking for. Not the freedom from fear, but the freedom to live fully regardless of whether fear is there or not. Conclusion. You can move right now. You don't need to get rid of fear. You need to stop letting it decide. And that moment is now. You made it, not to the end of fear, to the beginning of freedom, the freedom to move with fear. Not without it, with it, because fear will always be there. It's part of being alive. Part of being human, part of growing, but it doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to decide what you do, where you go, who you become. You decide. And the moment you realize that, everything changes, because you're no longer waiting for fear to give you permission. You're no longer waiting to feel confident, to feel ready, to feel certain. You're just moving. With the fear, with the doubt, with the uncertainty, and that movement, that willingness to act despite how you feel is what creates the life you actually want. Not the safe life, not the comfortable life, the alive life. The life where you're fully present, fully engaged, fully yourself, because you're no longer hiding from fear. You're walking with it, and that changes everything. So here's what happens next. You take one step right now. The step you've been avoiding, the step that scares you. The step that fear has been telling you not to take. You take it, not because you're not scared, but because you know being scared doesn't mean stop. It means go, so go. Take the step, make the call, send the message, start the project, whatever it is, do it. Today, right now, before fear talks you out of it, before doubt creeps back in, do it. And prove to yourself one more time that fear doesn't control you, you do. And you've always had that power, you just forgot, but now you remember, so use it, move. And become the person who doesn't wait for fear to disappear, who acts with it. Who lives fully, not in spite of fear but alongside it, because that's what freedom looks like, not no fear, but no control from fear. And that freedom is yours, right now, in this moment, so take it, and move. The end. What happens next? You close this book, and you take one action you've been avoiding because of fear. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now, you feel the fear, and you move anyway, because that's what this was all about. Not learning to eliminate fear, but learning to move with it. So move, and let fear come along for the ride. It doesn't get to drive anymore, you do.